baby. And now I'm very lucky. I have a surrogate, and we are going to have a baby in 6 weeks, and I'm super excited. But I'm very passionate about making sure women know about the HPV test and knowing that there is a cure. Like, you can actually find out if you have HPV. Early detection is the only way, and it's the only cancer that we know of that we can actually detect early and we can stop it. So it's important to ask your doctors. And I have friends, so many of my friends go and get their pap smear, and the doctor says, oh, you don't need an HPV test yet because nothing comes up weird on the pap smear. And then you have to say, no, I want my HPV test. Give me the HPV test. Because the pap smear for me didn't show that I had anything wrong until it was too late. So I find it like something I need to go out and talk about. And I'm glad you're watching today, because if you tell a friend and then they tell a friend and then they tell a friend that this is actually one of the cancers that can actually be like taken care of, and which makes it exciting, because there isn't any other cancer like this that we can actually, with early detection, take care of. So that's why I'm here, and that's why we're here together to educate. I don't know the medicine part of it all. That's why Marie's here to answer those questions, but I'll answer your questions as well.
Great. And we invite any question. I know there's a number of questions, so we'll get started. So I'll start with the medical questions, but anything I can't answer, you'll answer, and we'll go back and forth. Okay, first we have Cindy from awesomemoms.com. Cool. Why isn't the pap test enough to detect cervical cancer? The truth is, the pap test is simply a smear of cells taken from that donut hole of your cervix, and the doctor's looking under the microscope, or a lab technician, to look for cell changes caused by the virus, the HPV virus. But either because maybe the doctor didn't take the right smear or he didn't get into the right area, the cells could be deep hidden inside, the pap test can miss the cell changes. There's no question about it. The HPV test is different because it's a DNA test. It's looking for the virus. And sometimes the virus can be present for a number of years, even before serious cell changes. So we know that by doing the HPV test, if you test positive 2 times in a row, that means you persist with the virus, you're not fighting it off, your chances, even if your pap test is normal, as in your case, your chances of having eventually some serious cell changes develop are high enough. It's worth your doctor monitoring you more closely, doing more advanced testing like a colposcopy, for example. So the bottom line is the pap test is not always perfect. It's a test that has to be done year after year, and it can miss cell changes. The HPV test, if you test negative, is virtually 100% peace of mind, and that's extraordinary. Sarah. We have Sarah from Mommy FL, I guess Mommy Florida. Did you ever feel like there was a stigma associated with having cervical cancer because it's caused by the HPV virus?
Oh, no, not at all. I think it's something higher than 80% of anyone who's sexually active has HPV. So it's like a common cold. No, I actually didn't even know what HPV was when I had cervical cancer. I barely knew where my cervix was at the time. So I definitely now that I know exactly what it is, I don't feel that way at all, and I feel responsible in educating other people so that they don't go through what I went through. But no, I don't feel like there's a stigma at all.
Yeah,
thanks.
In fact, if anything, I think it's important to know that we know the cause. We know this sexually transmitted virus. It's transmitted skin to skin.
Yeah.
So sexual activity, that's how you get it. But we know that virtually all of us have been exposed to the virus at some point, and so no longer do we think of it as something in any way that there should be a stigma associated with. So
I definitely don't.
And you didn't even know about the virus?
No, I didn't even know about it when I was diagnosed. I didn't really know about it until I started educating myself about a year ago about it. So, no. And nor should anybody else at home.
Great. All right, we have Cindy again from awesomemoms.com. What advice do you have for other women to protect themselves from cervical cancer?
Well, my advice is to, empower yourself and go to the doctor and ask for the HPV test. That's really the one way of learning about it. Because the thing that I don't think people realize is just because you have HPV doesn't mean you're going to get cancer. It actually just helps the doctors follow your progress and helps them. It's basically just having, armor against it. So the minute if it does change, they can take it out before it turns into cancer. Just because you have HPV does not mean you're going to get cervical cancer. It's a way of early detection so they can make sure they're on board and they know what's going on. It just keeps your doctors following you more carefully. So for women to protect themselves, go to the doctor and ask for the HPV test. That's how you can protect yourself.
Yeah, and I think women do need to be reassured because
Yeah.
it's true, we're all exposed to the virus. There's no question about it. The majority of us, probably 95% of us, will fight it off. Our immune system will kick in, fight it off. But there are some more virulent strains. Obviously, you had one that your body wasn't able to fight off. So women do ask me all the time if they test positive for the virus while the doctor's waiting to see if they're fighting it off. What can they do? We advise common sense things, whether it's having a really good healthy diet, taking, making sure that you're getting B-complex vitamins. There's lots of ideas, but there's no proof. Your immune system is what's really critical. And I think we need to reassure women getting tested and even testing positive just gives the doctor, as you said, the tools, the ammunition to know to monitor you more closely. That's it. And to be assured that in time either your immune system will get rid of it or you will have the availability of the test to remove the cells long before you go through what Marissa has had to go through.
Before it spreads, yeah.
Great. Another question we have, Rita, from Surrender Dorothy Blog. What if someone already has been diagnosed with HPV? What do you do to monitor that? I guess I should start with that. So if let's say someone is ages 30 or over, and she has a Pap test, which is normal, and her HPV test turns positive. The very next thing you do is reassure her and say, look, your test is positive, but there are no cell changes. We need to repeat that test in 6 months to a year. Only women who test positive for that HPV virus 2 times in a row, then we say that means you have a persistent virus. The virus is not being cleared by your own body. And that's the circumstances where even if your Pap remains normal, your doctor will recommend that you consider getting the more advanced test, the colposcope, where they look in kind of with a magnifying light and they can see the cell changes and take a biopsy, do anything that they need to do to remove those cells in time so it never gets to the point where you had to be diagnosed. So one test positive for HPV if you're 30 and over, as long as your Pap is fine, you repeat it. That's the bottom line.